Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Cape Cod International Raceway for the 11th race of the NRSL Hankook Tyres V8 Supercar Challenge. I'm here with my boy Vince Freeze, hoping that he stays connected today.
Yeah, let's hope so. But let's look at the starting lineup here and some storylines. We got Dylan Young in the top five, literally in the front row. Curtis is 10th. Evans is back there. Jones is back there. We're going to see an interesting race, right? Our first standing start of the season. Holden's already locked the manufacturer's wins total. Not much to play for in that end. Should be an interesting race, and strategy should come into play, as we'll talk about later on.
Yeah, let's get to that starting top 10. Samet Oskin on pole. Not really side by side. This is standing starts at its finest with the offsets and whatnot. Dylan Young starting second, Quinton Moore third, Charles Sanford fourth, who's right at the edge of being in championship range. We're down to 16 drivers that are eligible. We'll get to that more in a minute. Alexander Rowe fifth, Yael Carrillo sixth, Henry Sanford seventh, Zach Rogers eighth, Keith Rich ninth, and DJ Curtis in 10th. Rob Evans will start 17th. And Deanna Jones starts in 25th. So we see the back of the grid. So really quickly, because we're going to go green as soon as the command is given, Dylan Young has a 7-point lead over Curtis and Evans, 27 over Deanna Jones, and then 47 over Carrillo. 46 is the number to have to be in range for the championship next race at Papyrus. So Carrillo and everybody else down to 16th in points got to get in range.
Drivers, start your engines!
Green flag is out and we are underway at Cape Cod. Great start for Quinton Moore. Not a great start for Dylan Young. Head down into turn one. Quinton Moore all over the bumper of Samet Oskin.
Clean start overall.
So Oskin leads. Oskin won back at the Charlotte Roval coming into this race. The driver of the 33, ninth in the points, 57 points back. He's got to gain 11 points on this man if he wants to be in championship contention at Papyrus.
I think Dylan Young, not a good start, but that's all he needed, right? A clean start. Doesn't matter if you get the win today. It's all about those points and even a podium if you can stay up there. But at Oskin right now, with an incident-free first lap so far, out here at Cape Cod dominating for now.
So Oskin leading, pulling back away from Quinton Moore. Quinton Moore won the season opener at Armory Digital. He sits 11th in the points, 62 points back. And to me, he's the last of the drivers really in a good chance to close the gap because after Quinton Moore, Seth Cole is another 15 points behind, 77 points out. Other drivers with a chance to close the gap, Donovan Cage, 58 back, Tringali, 52 back, as is Henry Sanford, and then Zach Flickinger, 48 back, Carrillo, 47 back. As we
Problem right now, yeah.
Go ahead, Vince.
The problem right now is Dylan Young's just going to sit there in third, and no one really can make up ground other than Oskin and Moore. Like Curtis has only made up one spot on the start. That may not be enough.
As you mentioned, DJ Curtis started 10th, up to 9th place. He's really just trying to minimize damage right now. Because as they run, Curtis would lose 15 points to Dylan Young, and that would have him 22 back going into Papyrus. Meanwhile, Rob Evans sits 14th. And Evans is on pace to lose 22 points, and he'd be 29 back. And then Deanna Jones is way back here. And she actually lost positions. She's in 27th. She'd be losing 35 points, and that would put her out of it. But looking like gonna be probably a kind of strategy race. Hopefully we have pit stops, unlike the Roval. As you see Seth Cole trying to make a move on Fitzwater. Fitzwater cutting him off. So this is the high-speed section of the track. See Seth Cole holding left because Deanna Jones got a better corner exit than him. But see, almost 180 miles an hour here into turn 1. You see just how hard on the brakes they get.
And if you remember Imola, for those F1 fans watching, it's like the kink on there, and then you gotta slow it down into the S sections. But like you were saying, man, I don't know if we're going to see the passing on track. This place looks like it's difficult to pass. I saw Freeze make a move on Hamill and Curtis make a move on the opening lap and a couple other moves, but I haven't seen much passing. This is really going to be a TP race, track position and strategy.
If you look at fast lap times, Quinton Moore has the top time with a 1:33.693, Oskin a 1:33.722, and then everybody else is a 1:34 or slower. That's just kind of road course, you know, style driving here. See a bit of a gap forming between Vince Freeze and Zach Flickinger. That's from 18th to 19th. But yeah, I really think this was a starting position race. And, you know, we're seeing that right now. It's these drivers, you know, just kind of logging laps and hoping that we have pit stops, unlike the Charlotte Roval, because otherwise this is going to be just like the Roval. And we're not going to see any passing for the rest of the race. Nico Tringali's all over the bumper of Cole Diva. That's for 12th. So we are seeing some drivers run faster. I mean, Tringali's won 2 races this season, which is he's the only driver to do so. Tringali won at the Pensacola Roval and at Kyalami. So let's go back into the top 10. Curtis still 9th. Keith Rich, your 2020 Jerky Pro Truck Series champion, has had the worst season out of everybody. He hasn't had a single top 10 on the season, which everybody else, that is, has gotten at least 2 top 10s on the season. So Keith Rich, 49 points behind Fitzwater in the points. And, you know, Keith has started on the pole twice. He's got an average starting position overall of 11th. But his average finishing position of 23rd with no top 10s, he's trying to change that here today as he started 9th today, I believe.
Now, we joked about the past couple of races while qualifying didn't matter. Well, it does matter at these places. I think these places were the past, like Kyalami, here at Cape Cod, I think Pensacola Road Course. I don't see where it matters. I just think, and the Roval even, right? I mean, once you get single file out, track position does matter. But Keith, I don't know, he just couldn't capitalize on it. But I think he should capitalize on it today, especially if we have no pit stops.
Yeah, if we don't have pit stops, it's a guaranteed 8th place finish unless you have a mechanical problem like Seth Cole did at Kyalami, or Seth blew a tire or something and he ended up having to come down pit road. And Charles Sanford is the man who's right at the bottom of the cut line, 88 points behind Dylan Young, but with Dylan Young running in 3rd, he's not gaining any points. His brother Henry Sanford is right in front of him, and Henry has a much better shot if things can go his way. Henry is 52 points behind Young. He only needs to gain 6 points to be in contention at Papyrus. But of course, for anybody 46 points behind Dylan Young heading into Papyrus, they would need Dylan Young to finish last. And while Papyrus is known for wild races, Vince, those wild races usually have 40-something trucks or cars on the track. But this is only a 29-car series.
I think Papyrus could be literally, we get to turn 3. Whoever leads into turn 3, right, into that first... I think it's right-hander. That could be it. I don't know. I don't know. That's like a hybrid track. We have a road course and a mix with super speedway type speeds. But as of now, and if there's no strategy there, which I hope there is, oh boy.
Well, I think the officials are going to make sure that there is at least one pit stop for Papyr, so we could see a longer race compared to the rest of the events we've had this season.
So, because the tire fall off here is only 7/10, and these guys seem to be running consistent. Young's a little wide there, but not, a little bit more wide, but not too wide, because no one can really make a move other than that turn 1 section. I think that's the only overtaking opportunity.
So Dylan Young ran a 134.7 that last time. Quinton Moore ran a 133.9. Oskin a 134.2. So Oskin and Quinton Moore are clearly the class of the field. You know, you look at the lap times as you go back, and it's just so hard to gain time when you're racing in the pack. But Tringali has been all over Cole Deaver for a couple of laps now, and I'm wondering if he could make a pass on Deaver if he could close right up on Logan York. But so far, I mean, I think this is looking like just a matter of pit stops. Because if you're back here behind Dylan Young, I think pitting first is the good call to make. If you're up here 1-2, Quinton Moore, Samet Oskin, you know, you could probably stretch it out a lap, come out fresh as tires, and still be the leader. But as you said, Vince, we're only seeing fall off of about 7/10 right now as we come to the completion of lap 6.
Turn 1's the only way to really pay. Well, I think Quinton Moore lost time there. Yeah.
Oskin ran a 134.6. That's a second and a tenth slower than his best time. Quinton Moore ran a 134.998. Meanwhile, Dylan Young with a 135.3, and everybody else just really struggling compared to the top two. Charles Sanford, a 135.1. But so, not really seeing any battles. Oh, here's James Ellison, your Pukeco winner from a week ago, running 17th right now. That win propelled Ellison up to 17th in the points from 25th. But it wasn't enough to get him in range. He's the first man out, 96 back. Let's actually talk about those drivers who have been mathematically eliminated already. And those are James Ellison, Ellison is the only one with a win who's mathematically eliminated. Peter Onjak, Audra Baranauskas, Alexander Rowe, two-time Digital Storm Cup Series champion Johnny Gardner, Vince Fries, Derek Hamill, Cole Deaver, Carter Friesen, Zach Rogers, Nate Rogers, Zachary Fitzwater Sr., and Keith Rich, who was eliminated the race before at Kyalami. And so, interestingly enough, Vince, I'm looking at the stats, and Johnny Gardner has 4 top 10s on the season, yet he is 21st in the points behind Alexander Rowe, who has 2 top 5s and 2 top 10s, which means he's finished in the top 5 twice compared to Johnny finishing in the top 10 4 times. And that, I think, is the points system with where you get more points the higher you finish inside the top 5.
This series, we talked about how the point system really leaned towards top 10s, top 5s, and DNF's inconsistency doesn't work. And especially since we've had some wild races in the past, like Pukeco was one I can remember, Armory Digital, races like that where you can't maximize a top 10. You got to make sure you come back and finish top 5 or win. And I don't think that's going to favor anybody in particular, right, in the back. I think it's just if you had that season where it's been top 15, top 20, you can't do much. Now, of course, there are some exceptions, right, because certain people don't have experience, or there might be some new things learned in this chassis, and Carl Fitzwater, for example. But then you have a surprise, right? Keith Rich and Gardner, right, champions of the past in the other series, and they can't translate it here. And Dylan Young right now is translating all that success with his experience. It depends. It's a hit or miss league, as they say.
Yeah, especially for Dylan Young, because, you know, through 4 years, I mean, we've seen him win in the Jerky Pro Truck Series, I believe, 3 times, twice at Atlanta. And then recently in the Digital Storm Cup Series, he finally got that first career win at Auto Club this past year. And he came really close to a win at Richmond back in 2018. So I'm wondering if this success right here in the V8 Supercar Series, despite the fact He has not won a race. He's got 4 top 5, 6 top 10s, a pole, and an average finishing position of 9th. If this is a sign going into 2021, Dylan Young, could he be a contender for the championship in the Cup Series next year?
Obviously, different cars, a little bit lighter schedule, a little bit more of a different playoff system. And I really think experience should pay off next season. It's not going to be, the Truck Series last season where we had a bunch of rookies. Yael Carrillo, if I remember correctly, just get in there and make it happen. I think it'll be experience rewarded, especially when we get to road courses. That will be big. But right now, I'm seeing 136s. I think it's time to pit pretty soon. There's no way we can run 21 laps and be a 3-second fall off at minimum.
And Yael Carrillo, won 3 races in his rookie season in the Jerky Pro Truck Series, and he's going to be back next year running full-time again. And with how he's been running here in the V8 Supercar Challenge, I think Carrillo will be season-long favorite maybe to win the championship, because the Jerky Pro Truck Series has done away with the playoff system, and you're going to have to be consistent next year if you want to win the championship. And when we talk about consistency, Dylan Young's brother Sam Young is the one that comes to mind, because Sam was second in what we call total points accumulated, which was if you threw away the playoffs from last season, Sam Young would have finished second in the points, even though he wasn't a Final Four driver, because in the elimination system he did not earn enough points over the second round to make the Final Four. But Sam Young, despite not winning a race in the Jerky Pro Truck Series this past season, was the second most consistent driver. The most consistent driver being this man, Keith Rich, who won't be back to trucks next season. So,
that just shows you the competition level. I mean, not to cut you off there, but I really think that just shows you can do it different ways, but consistency will always become the X factor at the end of the day. But I'll let you go.
Yeah, so, I think anything could really happen. So now, anyways, back to this race. We're coming to lap 11. Oskin's showing 2.5 seconds of fall off. Quinton's showing a little less. So Quinton seems to be pulling in Oskin just for Oskin to step back down on it and pull away again. Dylan Young and the others are more than 5 seconds back, as there's pit entry right there. But still no signs of them coming to pit road. But, yeah, I mean, these guys, I think it's really down to Oskin and Quinton Moore now. And, Dylan Young and his team have got to be thinking, what is the best strategy for us here today in order to minimize the number of competitors at Papyrus in the finale? Because, you come in, DJ Curtis 7 points back, Evans 7 points back, Deanna Jones 27 points back, everybody else more than a race behind. Curtis is 9th. We talked about it right now with where they're running. Curtis would be 22 points behind. And with where Evans is running, Evans would be 29 behind, and then Deanna Jones would be just completely out of it. And, right now, with where he's running, for Oskin and Quinton Moore would only gain 4 points right now, which would still have him 58 out and out of range, versus Oskin, who would be 48 points behind, 2 points out of range. So Oskin needs Dylan Young to lose at least one position here if he's going to win this race. And, this also boils down to Pukica last week, Vince, when Oskin couldn't pass James Ellison for the win, and he lost that 5 points. So if Dylan Young doesn't fall down past third, those 5 points from the missed win a week ago are going to be haunting Oskin after today.
Been the entire offseason too. Now, one thing I will notice though, if I'm Dylan Young right now, forget the top 2 guys up front. Look at the delta between 3rd to 10th. Let's see what this lap cycles here. Let's give it a second to cycle. All right, see that delta is 4 seconds, right? That's pretty close delta versus 7 seconds you're eventually going to have to get out front. If I'm Dylan Young, I pit a lap early, cut off the guys 4th through 10th, and that puts the pressure on people like Curtis, Sanford in the back. Heck, even Evans and Jones, I don't even know where those guys are. I think they were, 27th when we last checked on them and hovering around the top 15. There definitely needs something to happen. If I'm those guys, I'm on offense, pit now. If there is pit stops, of course. We could be remissing here and say there's no pit stop. We don't know. That's the thing.
Well, I think right now, if you're the first one to pit road, you're going to win this race and gain a ton of time because fall-off is over 3 seconds, if not almost 4 seconds for the leaders. But I've seen a little bit of a gap from Dylan Young and Alexander Rowe to Henry Sanford now. And, you know, that gap is increasing as you go through the field. But, you know, see Evans still 14th. You see a bit of a gap from Hamill to Nate Rogers and then Cage to Fitzwater, who's racing Andrew Rich for position. So Fitzwater taking 24th from Andrew Rich, and Deanna Jones, you know, still 27th. But, you know, let's see here. Does anyone pit? Yes, Quinton Moore's going to do it. Oh, man. Quinton Moore's going to be the first to pit road. Does anybody behind come? Oh, yeah. Dylan Young's come in. Oh, and Henry Sanford and Charles Sanford just made contact, and that spun out D22. And, ooh, somebody just made a fake right there. But it looks like most of the field is coming to pit road here. So Oskin stayed out. Henry Sanford stayed out after contact with Charles Sanford. Carrillo stayed out. And then Nico Tringali was the one who put a fake on us. It looked like he was going to pit, but then he saw how many people were there, and he was like, nope, no. But he lost a couple of time, a second or so, avoiding Charles Sanford. Zach Flickinger also stayed out. But looking like 4 tire stops for all, as Quinton Moore will be the first one out of pit road. And you can just see like how much time that they had on the field. Second man out will be Dylan Young. So Dylan loses nothing on pit road. Alexander Rowe, Keith Rich, DJ Curtis. Evans looks like he gained some time there. He's racing Logan York for position here. This could be important for Evans since he's still technically in the hunt.
For his championship. Oh, there's no way now he's going to finish in the top 10 unless he magically has passing ability. I think. Oh, York on the curb there. I don't think he has a shot, but we'll see. I think Oscar made the wrong call now. If you're losing 5 seconds a lap here almost, if he stays out longer, I don't know why you wouldn't have come in and tried to undercut more. But okay, we'll see.
This is a very important battle for Rob Evans because it's at the least a point, but York will take the position. And now everybody else will pit. Oskin, Henry Sanford, Carrillo, Tringali, Flickinger. So now you got to wonder, the fall-off was up to 4 seconds. There's going to be 8 to go. The first lap for these guys is a warm-up the tires lap. And then after that, you're going to have the freshest tires, but, you know, it's not a full run, so is it going to be enough time for Oskin to gain back and maybe challenge for the lead?
Well, catching is one thing, passing is another, and there's been really no passing, and there's more blowing right by. I think this is over. Unless Oskin stays right in that back bumper and into turn 1, I think Quinton Moore will pull away. Dylan Young, what a move.
Dylan Young
championship
still third.
Execution.
Keith Rich up to 5th. DJ Curtis is up to 6th, and Evans is up to 8th. Carrillo will come out running 9th. Jesse Turner, though, looking to take that position, so that'll relegate Carrillo to 10th as we wait for him to warm up the tires. But Henry Sanford fell all the way to 11th. Tringali, though, gained a position. He's up to 12th right now. We'll see if he can hold on to that. Zach Rogers outside the top 10 now. As we're seeing the shuffle, Charles Sanford fell down to 20th. Ellison lost a ton of spots, too. Deanna Jones down to 27th. I think it's all but said and done. And Vince, I'm really thinking right now that it's going to come down to where Evans, Curtis, and Dylan Young finish compared to the drivers who, you know, stayed out an extra lap. Like, will any of those guys run through the field like Carrillo or Henry Sanford, as you see Henry with the cold tires right now, too? Or actually, Tringali's on the same cold tires, and Tringali just passed Henry Sanford.
Galley's road course presence coming in. I don't know. I think this is really Dylan Young's championship to lose. I mean, of course we have Papyrus, but DJ Curtis, let's focus on him. You know, to go from 9th to 6th on a pit stop cycle, knowing that was his only chance to minimize the damage, as you talked about in the first couple laps, that could be crucial. And I think he's 6th. Yeah, say that. That's not bad for a warm-up lap too, and that's his best lap of the race too. Just shows you what the new tires can do. But Quinton Moore, man, 3-second lead almost. What a job by that team, and that call that might have won him this race.
Yeah, so, you know, that's what we're waiting to see now, right? So Oskin just had his warm-up lap. Now the tires are heated up. Now he can go and challenge for this thing. But, you know, even if one of these guys wins this race, you know, it's just going to be a second one on the season, because with Dylan Young in third, you know, neither of them can gain the points they need. And, you know, for Oskin, like I said earlier, this comes down to last week where he could not pass James Ellison for the win. That cost him 5 points there. Even if he wins today with where Dylan Young is running, he's 2 points short of being in range for Papyrus. But, you know, let's refocus on Curtis and Evans here now that they are running higher in the running order than they were before. So both of them came in 7 points behind Dylan Young. With where they're running now, Curtis is only losing 9 points. That puts him 16 points back. And Evans is losing 13 points. That puts him 20 back. So a lot better than 22 and 29, you know, compared to 16 and 20 for those two. But Evans has to worry a little bit here. And maybe Curtis too. York? No, York's not closing in that much. But Evans has to worry here because it doesn't look like he has the best car still, despite being near the front more and having better tires, because Jesse Turner's coming. And then Correa, we know, is on fresher tires, as is Tringali and Henry Sanford. So the potential for Evans to lose about 6-7 points here is there. You know, he could fall right back down the 14th and be 29 back heading into Papyrus compared to 20 with where he's running now. But, you know, this time coming at the start-finish line will be 5 to go. But I've seen it before, Vince, when the Digital Storm Cup Series came here in 2019. William Flickinger had I want to say, 2 to 3 second lead over Seth Cole. And in the last 3 or 4 laps, Seth Cole destroyed that gap and passed him on the white flag for the win.
It's possible, but I just think with the way the aerodynamics work here, and the tire fall being the way it is, once you get to the back of a car, catching is one thing, passing is another. And look at, for example, Oskin and Moore, right? That first run, Moore tried to get around Oskin, couldn't do anything. Now look where he's at. He's still stuck there, 3 seconds back trying, but...
I don't know, Vince. Oskin just closed in 0.6 of a second.
It'd be close, but he still has to make the pass, and that's my only concern. I think he'll catch him, but the passing, like I said, is the only concern.
Oh, there was a spin off this corner here. I'm not sure when that was. Oh, and it looks like it was just recently, because Seth Cole has lost 7 seconds. And this was a driver we really thought we'd see win a lot in this series, and it just has not transpired with these cars.
Second race in a row, right? Seth Cole had a problem with Puka towards the latter stages. This is interesting.
Three
and we'll look at that in
three races in a row, if you count Kyalami. The issue at Kyalami took him out of a top 10. You know, Puka, he was looking to move through the field challenge for the lead. He still ended up 9th, I think. But, you know, he just hasn't been at the front at all today. But so this is just insult to injury for Seth Cole. So Fitzwater, though, his bad season continues. He's down to 27th now. Onjak passes him. Deanna Jones, 25th. But she is out of range at this point, I believe, because Dylan Young is running in 3rd. Just kind of trying to see where everybody's at. Remember, Zach Flickinger pitted a lap late. Not sure if he's closing any time here on Carter Friesen or not. And he's actually not there. Tringali, though, putting the pressure on Carrillo for 10th. As Evans is still holding strong in 8th. And Curtis in 6th. That time by, Oskin only gained 0.2 of a second on Quinton Moore.
Yeah, I think the tires are going to start stabilizing out here. It's only about a 0.6 fall off. I don't see maybe 0.5 on Oskin, but I don't see it happening right now. Now, like I said, though, catching is one thing. I think he'll still catch him, but I don't know about the passing. We just haven't seen the bold pass. And if we had seen a pass, was Seth Cole's spin an omen, right? Was he trying to go make a bold move? You can't even pass and you'll spin out, right? So no one really knows the passing distance other than turn 1 where you can get that draft. But we'll see.
Will be coming the 3 laps to go. Oskin looks like he's still closing, but so I'm wondering, I know these cars, they don't have a lot of draft. They don't create a huge wake on a track like this, but you know, once Oskin gets a sniff of the draft, will he start closing in even more? As that time by, it's another 0.4 of a second.
Turn 1 complex, right? Heading into that, past the kink in turn 1, that's the only time down that front stretch you can really get the draft. Other than that, it's pretty much like the Pensacola road course, where it's more S's, and let's go on a cockpit view here with Oskin, see what he's doing different compared to Moore. You see Seth Scholl's tire marks.
So he's just really playing with the throttle here, and you know, it's a very technical section of the track. I feel like this is where he's really gaining time on Quinton Moore with this 1 lap set of fresher tires. This is another tricky section right here. You know, he's in sight now, Vince.
I have to go on board with Moore, but I think Oskin's just better through the technical parts of the courses with the fresher tires. Now, Moore, I notice he tries to break the draft a little bit into that turn 1. As you see the rear chase cam here. You'll watch Moore pull a little bit to the side. You'll watch. See, he's not making that traditional line, just a little bit to the side, even though you can't see it. Breaks the draft, and just out here into this first section.
2 laps to go. Another 0.3 for Samet Oskin. And, you know, we haven't mentioned it in this race, but if you've never been on this channel before, Oskin is a 2020 Digital Storm Cup Series champion. So, Oskin knows his way around the track, and he's got a win at Sebring in the Cup Series, though that win dates back to 2017. Oskin's 1 win from 2020 came at Texas in the spring. And, you know, didn't really talk about this statistic in the Digital Storm Cup Series finale, but Oskin drove the 22 car, which won the championship in 2017. Now, Caleb Hoffman drove that car that year, and Hoffman didn't win a single race in the elimination format. Oskin won just 1 race. Johnny Gardner, who won the titles in 2018 and 2019, won 3 races in 2018 and 2 in 2019. So, you know, the 22 car has won championships with a win or less in the Cup Series.
Efficiency champion. Yeah, they call it the old EC. Just getting that efficiency with the consistency. It works.
Dylan Young still 3rd. Curtis 6th. Evans is 8th with about a second over Jesse Turner. As I'm not seeing the fresher tires really work in the traffic so much, but Oskin has closed the gap on Quinton Moore. We're coming to the white flag. Does he have anything for the 45? Closed in 0.6. Cut the lead right in half. Oh, and this is giving me 2019 Digital Storm Cup Series flashbacks between William Flickinger and Seth Cole.
question is, where is he going to make the move? He's not going to make it under this bridge turn. He's too far. He has to basically wait to the last turn, I think, that last little complex, because there's not much of a backstretch down here. I mean, I know it's a good way to gain time, but it's going to have to be that last complex. The only way you can make it. A little wide there for Moore. Oskin's charging.
The only difference between this battle and the aforementioned Cup Series battle was Seth Kolb was a lot closer to William Flickinger, and he actually made the move in the first half of the racetrack. Oskin is looking like he's going to have to make it soon because time is running out. Track is running out. I just don't think he's close enough.
I just think at this point they start to fall off a cliff or stabilize with the tires, and you see Oskin makes a lot of time through his technical. But Moore, I noticed on that last complex, just does enough. And I think Quinton Moore, win number 2 on the season, is coming his way to Ty Tringali.
2 more left-hand turns to go. You know, Oskin just too little too late. I think he needed one more lap, one more heavy braking zone for turn 1. Off the final corner they come for the second time this season. It'll be Quinton Moore winning today at Cape Cod. You see, Oskin only gained 1/10 of a second that lap. But Dylan Young will come home in 3rd, Curtis 6th, and Evans 8th. So that'll put Curtis 16 points back, Evans 20 points back. And it will be those 3 drivers, 2 Holdens and a Ford, going for the championship in a few days' time at Papyrus Motorsports Park. Rest of your top 10, Alexander Rowe 4th. Keith Rich gets his first top 10 and his first top 5 with a 5th place effort. Logan York 7th, Jesse Turner 9th, Carrillo in 10th. Finishing last was Seth Cole. So all we have to do is see what happened to the 5, and that will be it for today's race. Looking at what happened to Seth Cole, he's racing Fitzwater here for 23rd. And, you know, this is a pretty tough section of the track. You see a lot of drivers swerve left and right through here. And Fitzwater just swerved left a little too much, came to come back right. Seth Cole's nose was there. And around goes the 5, and then Fitzy would go into the grass as well. Ooh, that's a little weird. But, yeah, so that is what happened, and me and Vince will see you for Papyrus.